Good afternoon, Santosh. Good afternoon, very good afternoon, and welcome to VANIK-IAS. We'll discuss current affairs of 23rd April. First, we'll discuss MCQs, then some prelims facts, and one mains topic and one answer writing. First, let's start. So, World Economic Outlook. International Monetary Fund, in its latest World Economic Outlook report, cuts the global growth rate due to Russia and Ukraine war. Right? Russia and Ukraine war is going. Whenever one war happens in a particular country or between two countries, what happens? That creates instability in the world economy. Right? Why? Because if it is a major country, then all the countries, for example, there is Russia and there is Ukraine. Right? So supply chain from Russia that get disrupted, and supply chain from Ukraine is also get disrupted. Import to Russia and import to Ukraine also get disrupted. So all the countries, those who are importing from Russia, they face the crisis. All the countries that are exporting to Russia and Ukraine, they also face the crisis. So, and the demand in these two countries that affect the whole world. And another thing is that when such uncertainties grows, especially world market goes down, and that affects the whole world. So, because of Russia and Ukraine war, the global growth rate has reduced, and that is caught by the IMF in its report, that is World Economic Outlook. It is a report by International Monetary Fund IMF that analyzes key parts of IMF surveillance of its economic developments and policies in its member countries. Key parts of IMF surveillance, right? Surveillance, especially that is related to our CAT, that is current account deficit, and forex reserve. If any time and whenever there is lack of forex reserve in particular country, for example, India gone in crisis in 1990s, we take the help of International Monetary Fund. It also projects developments in the global financial markets and economic system. Projects the developments. It is released in W released April and September, October each year. So World Economic Outlook, it is released twice a year, that is in April and also September and October of each year. So that is twice a year. This report provides analysis and forecast of economic developments and the policies in its member countries. Forecast of economic development and the policies in its member countries. Encapsulates the state of global economy and highlights the risk and uncertainty that could threaten the growth. The state of global economy, right? That is the growth rate of various countries and also risks and uncertainties that could threaten the growth of whole world. All these reports are provided by this report. The report also is main instrument in disseminating the finding and analysis of global surveillance activities to the world. Disseminating the findings and analysis of global surveillance activities to the world. So every world, to whole world, this disseminate the information that will help in policy making of various governments, right? For example, if growth rate in one particular government is for example, there is low growth in Russia, right? For example, there is low Russia, so Indian exports to Russia will decline. So we must we must think about some alternative livelihoods of those exporters, or how we can substitute the losses. So it makes help to the it will make uh, the policymakers a help, right? How to make policies for the country, for their country. At different times and different situations, government has to make different policies, right? And for that, it need information of the world economic situation of the whole world. Next, these are the major highlights. You can see which country's growth is what. For example, so far as UK is concerned, it is 3.7. It is coming out of the Brexit. That is very good. UK's growth has increased. It is 3.7 growth. Japan 3.3. Spain 4.8. Italy, France, Germany, US, United States has 3.7 growth. Right, but India has very significant. It has 8.2 growth. So where India is concerned, China is 4.4 for growth. This is a estimated. Global growth is estimated 6.1% 2021 to 3.6%. This global growth is 6.1% to 3.6% in 2022 to 23. Right. This is 0.8 and 0.2 percentage lower than the projected in January. Whatever projected in January, it is 0.8% and 0.2% lower. You can see the source of IMF. India is at maximum growth and China is almost half by India, that is 4.4. USA is 3.7. Russia is minus 8.5. Why? Because of the war, right? The supply chain is completely disrupted. The import and export and the trade of Russia is disrupted. That is why. And various productions and also trade all disrupted, everything disrupted. That's why Russia is going to a minus 8.5 economic growth. The war in Ukraine has triggered the costly humanitarian crisis and demand peaceful resolution. At the same time, economic damage from the conflict will contribute to significant slowdown in world growth. In it to inflation, inflation will increase and also that will slow down in global growth. Fuel and food prices have increased rapidly, hitting vulnerable population of low income countries the hardest, right? For example, a particular crop is exported from Ukraine. Now that supply and production has decreased and that price will increase. So it lead to inflation in various countries, and also fuel prices is rising because Russia is a major source of fuel for the whole world. It has then for India, it has large forecast of 2000 financial 2023 gross domestic products to growth of 8.2% from 9%. So it has reduced from 9% to 8.2%. Almost India suffered by 0.8%. Why? Because of the Ukraine Russia. The downgrade outlook for global growth, citing economic impact in the Russia-Ukraine war. It also projected Indian economy to expand 6.9% next year, putting on of course to be fastest growing large economy over the next 2 years, right? So next year it will be 6.9% and it will be the fastest growing large economy in next 2 years. And in the because of Ukraine war, it has reduced 9% to 8.2% of growth. Japan and India are seeing notable growth forecast downgrades in the Asia region, partly because of lower net exports and weaker demand. Japan and India are seeing notable growth forecast downgrades in the Asia region. Why? Because of the net exports and weaker demand. Domestic demand with high oil prices expected to weigh down consumption and investment, right? So what happens when oil prices increases, the price of each good increases, and when price of each good increases, demand decreases. So ultimately that brings a loss to the economy. So to boost the economy, to reduce and so you have to control the prices of oil. Uh, okay, so GDP forecast by various institutions. World Bank it says India will grow by 8.7% and RBI says 7.8%. and IMF says all 9%. It was now 8.2%. So these are the various GDP forecast by various institutions regarding India. Ukraine. Next issues. The Ukraine war will serve a reduced global economic growth that will add to also add to inflation because of the disruption on supply chain, and it will reduce global economic growth and will also lead to inflation. Elevated price will complicate the trade of central banks face of curbing inflation to protect and protecting growth. Right? What will happen? They will curb inflation, then they will reduce the money supply to the market. Right? And when money supply reduced to the market, what will happen? That will ultimately that will hamper the growth. So growth and inflation, because of inflation, there will be less growth. Interests are set to rise, exerting pressure on the emerging markets and developing economies. Right? It will hamper the developing economies. Higher food and fuel prices are impacting vulnerable population, especially the vulnerable population, the different population. They will suffer the most because prices is getting increased. Interest rates were rising as central banks tightened the monetary policy. Central banks are tightening the monetary policy, so interest rates are rising. Additionally, the global economy was becoming fragmented, with countries cutting off ties with Russia. The rule-based frameworks were being threatened. The pandemic-induced lockdown in China were exacerbating the supply chain disruptions. Becoming a fragmented, right? Global economy becoming fragmented with countries cutting off ties with Russia, right? Because of economic sanctions by the United Nations, by the NATO forces or especially the US. The global economy is becoming fragmented, right? We have also witnessed that during the trade war between US and China, the world economy has gone a huge loss, right? If you observe after 2008 crisis, its impact still is there. The 2008 financial crisis, we have not gone out of the impact of 2008 financial crisis. Again, what happened? There is a trade war, development of protectionism by Trump, and there is trade war between India and China. China and Russia, and also to some extent India has also suffered because of the GSP of USA. So trade war is one of the major factor regarding, or protectionism is major factor regarding the slow growth of world economy. Another big factor is that then COVID pandemic came, right? COVID pandemic, it has disrupted. Again, it has taken the economy minus 24% so far as India is concerned, and it affected various countries. And after that, after COVID pandemic, the next event, that's another event that affected world economy, that is Ukraine and Russia war. It is continuing since last month, and it is still continuing, and that is a big problem for all the countries of world, and that will hamper the world economy barely for next few years, right? So in Pacific induced lockdown, China different supply chain. Yes, lockdowns in China also, that is hampering the supply chain again. So there are various challenges to the world economy and the whole world. Multilateral suggestions, multilateral efforts to respond to humanitarian crisis, prevent further economic fragmentation, maintain global liquidity, manage debt distress, tackle climate change, and end pandemic is essential. And the end of pandemic is essential. Right, tackle the climate change because that is hampering the agriculture and other agriculture, especially agriculture, right? And all the, for example, like health and agriculture, all are, and the infrastructure as well, for because various cyclones and natural hazards are coming because of climate change. So mitigation of climate change is important. Managing debt distress, for example, Sri Lanka has suffered a lot and already gone into defaulting foreign payments. It is suffering economic crisis because of non-management of debt. Another, maintain global liquidity, right? To prevent further um, fragmentation between various economies, and also global liquidity means free flow of trade throughout the world without any such sanctions. This is very essential to counter the slow growth of economy. Interesting, the IMF is the carbon pricing and fossil fuel subsidy reform. This could also help the transition to a clear mode of production, less exposed to fossil fuel prices. Okay. This is more important even light of the fallout of the war in a global energy market. Authorities should also be vigilant about private sector vulnerabilities and rising interest rates. Just 1 minute. International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund is an international institution headquartered at Washington DC. Remember, headquartered in Washington DC, right? Not New York. This is IMF, in international financial institutions. Next, it consists of 200 countries, right? There are 200 countries. IMF, what there to foster global monetary cooperation, secure financial stability, facilitate international trade, promote high employment and sustainable economic growth, reduce poverty around the world while providing independent World Bank for its resources. It is dependent on the World Bank as well. So these are called Bretton institutions. They are formed to manage debt crisis or also foreign exchange crisis. Or these all things are managed by IMF. The reports released by IMF, it was formed in 1944 and started in 1945. These are called Bretton institutions, IMF and World Bank. The reports released by IMF are World Economic Outlook (WEO), Global Financial Stability Report (GFSR), and Fiscal Monitor (FM), Global Financial Stability Report, World Economic Output. These are released by IMF. Next, we'll discuss auroras. What is auroras? A stunning aurora glow was recently observed above the Iceland, after a dead sunset erupted. Right? What is this aurora glow? Aurora's display of light in the sky predominantly seen in the high latitude regions, especially in the high latitude regions. The auroras are seen in the high latitude regions, that is in Arctic or Antarctic. It's a display of light in the sky, also known as polar light. Polar light, also known as polar light, it is seen in the high latitudes, that is Arctic and Antarctic. Display of light caused when solar wind charged particles ejected from sun surface enters Earth's atmosphere, interacts with the different gases, causing display of light called aurora. Solar wind, right? Solar wind charged particles ejected from sun surface enter Earth's atmosphere and interact with different gases, display light, that is called as aurora. So it is released by it is solar wind. It is the charged particles of sun surface. They come to the Earth's atmosphere. Then Earth's geomagnetic fields shields human from these harmful particles. Geomagnetic fields shields human from these harmful particles. Thus, high latitude regions, aurora oval, particles continuously stream down, causing polar light. All active. So this high latitude aurora oval particles continuously stream down, causing polar light active all around. While usually milky greenish color, auroras can also show red, blue, violet. So this may be various color, that is red, blue, violet, and pink and white. These colors appear. Variety can continuously changing the shapes. They are different shapes and different colors. Aurora may be of different shapes and different color. They are coming from solar wind. When they interact with Earth's atmosphere, the aurora started. They are predominantly seen in the Arctic and Antarctic region. It's a display of light. The North Pole, Aurora Borealis, North Lights, and visible from US, Alaska, Canada, Greenland, Norway, Sweden, Finland. These are called as North Pole. North Pole or Aurora Borealis or North Lights visible from the North Pole. Another South Pole, that is Aurora Australis, Southern Lights visible from Antarctica, Chile, Argentina, New Zealand, and Australia. These are called as Aurora Australis. Two types of aurora. Next. Do other planets have auroras? Planets have auroras. Aurora is not something that happens on Earth. It's planets. It planets an atmosphere and magnetic field. If a planet has atmosphere and magnetic field, they probably have auroras. So any planet who has atmosphere and magnetic field, they probably have auroras. Recently, Hope spacecraft captured the images of Hope mission of USA. It is sorry, your UAE, images of discrete auroras on Mars. So they captured some discrete aurora on Mars. Any continental planet who has atmosphere and magnetic field, they can have auroras, right? Then magnetic marginal cost funding funds based lending rate, that is MCLR, right? Recently, State Bank of India has raised a marginal cost funds based lending rate, that is MCLR, for the first time in 3 years. It has raised the cost of MCLR, signaling soft rates regime that has prevailed since 2019 may be over, right? So interest rate is going to rise. What is marginal cost funds based lending rate? It is instituted by RBI in 2016. It is lowest interest rate bank can offer a lender offer, that is marginal cost funds lending rate. Lowest interest rate a marginal bank that can offer. It is applicable to fresh corporate loans and floating low rate loans before October 2019. RBI then switched to external benchmark linked lending rate EBLR. In 2019, RBI shifted to external bench linked lending rate EBLR system, where lending rate is linked to benchmark rates like repo and treasury bill rates. Lending rate is linked to repo rate and treasury bill rates, and RBI has switched to EBLR, that is external benchmark lending rate. And aims and objectives: to improve the transmission of policy rates, the lending rates of banks, right? Policy rates, and to bring transparency in methodology followed by banks determining the interest rate of advances, to ensure availability of bank credit at interest rates and which are fair to borrowers as well as banks. Available to bank credit at interest rate that are both fair to both the borrowers as well as banks, to enable banks to become more competitive and enhance their long run value contribution to economic growth. So the other aims and objectives of MCLR. Then NATPOL Rex 8. NATPOL Rex 8, uh, National Level Pollution Response Exercise. National Level Pollution Response Exercise, that is NATPOL Rex 8. The Indian Coast Guard kicked off 8th edition of two-day national Soundage especially in Mormugao Harbour, Goa. Mormugao Harbour, Goa, especially started by Indian Coast Guard. It has kicked off 8th edition of two-day national level pollution response exercise. Objectives: to enhance the preparedness and response capability of all the stakeholders in combating the marine spills. Right, marine spills a big challenge for marine biodiversity. We are there, our marine biodiversity is it is going, it is suffering a huge setback, or you can say it is deteriorating day by day because of various anthropogenic activities. There is marine pollution, there is toxified areas, the death of various marine species, especially one of the reason is your bottom trawling, which I have discussed because of unsustainable fishing, we have discussed yesterday. Mm, so all these activities, mm, that will so these are all these activities that creates marine pollution. One more thing that creates marine pollution is marine spills, especially the oil spill that happens from various ships. And to counter that, national pollution response exercise, Indian Coast Guard has started its 8th edition, right, in April 19. It aims to violating the procedures and guidelines as contained in the National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency Plan. National Oil Spill Disaster Contingency, because oil spill is a big problem so far as marine biodiversity is concerned. During the exercise, various components of NOS DCP were invoked to validate and improve the contingency plans and evaluate preparedness of the resource agencies. Right. Various components of are invoked and improve the contingency plan of and evaluate the preparedness of various agencies regarding oil spills. So NATPOL Rex 8 started by Indian Coast Guard. Next question is, the 5G technology will save Industry 4.0 and enhance the quality of service, develop delivery innovation by faster and developing the society is discuss 5G technology. It's the fifth generation mobile technology, right? See, so far as India is concerned, various technologies developed just because of the internet. Internet are linked to various other services, right? Our service sector got a boost also because of 5G technology. Parallel infrastructure like mobile laptops have increased because now high amount of data can be uploaded in the internet. A parallel industry of like online education industry, it has established which is earning in various crores of business are going in online learning, and there are various activities that are developed in last 2 and 3 years because of the 5G technology, right? Then benefits of 5G technology, it is yes. Another thing is that it is there is lower latency. Lower latency means very low speed, right? It is its data will be around 20 Gbps, right? Presently we are using less than 1 Gbps and it will be 20 Gbps the speed, right? Another thing is that faster data delivery, data uploading and data delivering will be much faster as compared to the previous or the 4G, and better utilization of the spectrum. The standards of the usage of 5G, they are driven by third generation partnership projects 3G. The benefits of 5G technology. 5G will provide the capacity and bandwidth as per the need of the user to accommodate technologies such as Internet of Things. Right? Internet of Things means it is the system. It is connecting the physical system to the internet. Each physical system connected to the internet. All the combined system is called as Internet of Things. Thus, will help or cooperate artificial intelligence in our life. It will also support virtual reality or augmented reality service. Artificial intelligence in our life, that means we will produce machines that will have the ability to think themselves. That is called a machine learning. Right? It will work like a human being. And 5G technology will help in developing the associated infrastructure like your artificial intelligence, augmented learning, and virtual reality and augmented reality. Next, bring internet connectivity everywhere. The speed will have ripple effects across many industries and geographies, and that will gradually get collocated by downward filtration theory. It will collocate various industries and human beings. High speed internet access critical to pushing rural industries like farming and agriculture to evolve. It will also associate it will develop the various industries. 5G networks to stand unlock innovation, but highly dependent on how it is implemented. Right? It will develop this advanced technology regarding innovation, and that will help in innovation 5G technology. But how it is implemented is the cause of concern. Better coverage and densely populated areas. Small deployments will be made more effective than the high speed internet. Small cell deployments will be more effective than the high speed internet, allowing lightweight, easy to mount one network base stations. Increase the capacity and coverage in densely populated areas. Right. Small scale deployment will, because we have adopt the method of social inclusion, right? Regional inclusion. If this there should not be any area which is excluded from the internet connectivity. So those areas which are densely and yes, especially from the densely populated areas like for example Delhi or metropolitan cities, there it can work more effectively, right? High speed internet will work because they are suffering a lot. The networking as a service. Network slice allows multiple virtual networks to be created on the top shared physical infrastructure. So different types of applications and services will be able to run in the shared infrastructure. Different type of services will run. This enables telecommunication companies to provide networking on demand, the same way that we currently access the other services on demand. Like they provide us networking of on demand. Telecom companies provide networking on demand, that is 5G technology, that will demand technology. But there are various issues as well. So far as 5G technology is concerned, it requires around 5 lakh crore. Although it will develop the nanotechnology or other researching methods like supercomputing or various research methods, it will help in learning outcomes and various other industries. Still, there are various challenges with respect to it. Right? For example, 5 lakh crore investment is required. which is very huge. 5 lakh crore. Already there is a debt of around more than 4 lakh crore in the banks because after the Geo, various other telecom communications, they got insolvent. All right, they are filing the insolvency. And now the three option only Airtel, BSNL, and Geo is there. There is very low competition so far as Airtel and Geo is concerned. Geo has much more customers as compared to um, the Airtel. That's why if anybody can invest, then it is the Geo. There is no competitors in the market so that anybody else can invest in India. So if that is immediately that will be established, that will be established by the Geo only, right? Reliance Geo only. Others cannot spend huge amount of money like 5 lakh crore. Next, radio-based networks. This is creating a net new set of ecosystem players dominated by smaller and more innovative companies, which can make way unknown companies from countries such as India to emerge as a mainstream mobile networking technology to provide for the world. Radio access network. Create a new set of ecosystem players dominated by smaller and more innovative companies. Then the potential advantage it offers industrial revolution 4.0. Manufacturing industry is going through a digital revolution, right? It will help in manufacturing, various other other subjects. Within within the context of Industry 4.0, manufacturing are becoming more efficient through application of automation, data exchanges, existing factory processes, enable integrated workflows, smarter manufacturing. Industrial technologies are streaming and simplifying many manufacturing processes in revolutionary ways. So IoT will be also streamlined because of the 5G technology. Right? Then mixed reality applications. The MR apps comprise augmented reality and virtual reality apps. Beyond consumer market, think Pokemon Go. Interesting implications are also likely to found in industrial and medical contexts, remote medical procedures, engineering, public safety applications are strong case of low latency application of low latency 5G services. That's why so 5G services can be applied in for augmented reality and also for virtual reality I mean for developed medical facilities and engineering, public safety, everywhere, right? It can be used. Industrial works it can be used. Sports and entertainment. A combination of virtual reality and augmented reality with ultra high def fidelity enabled by 5G could transfer the way fans interact with these events, right? This will transfer the way fans interact with these events. Motorsports is a deal of virtual reality in particular. Equipped with their mobile device and headset, fans could be served information like a lap or technical information about cars as they race on track on a sport Formula One. Right. So motorsport ideal virtual reality in particular, especially in virtual reality and entertainment. 5G can also be implemented. Then fixed wireless access to also used for to bring bandwidth digital service underserved rural areas. Digital India Mission government has proposed its Digital India Mission to provide internet, high-speed internet in the rural areas. Mobile operators will be then able to compete with the wireline, satellite, and cable companies, offering new revenue streams faster growth. Right? Mobile operators will be able to compete with airline, satellite, right? Faster, so offering faster revenue streams, right? So faster wireless access. Yes. Okay, that will where faster wireless access will happen by 5G. An autonomous vehicle, the idea that much of car is controlled by driver, not by technology, but by technology, right? This in this case also 5G technology can be applied. 5G is critical to realize that as it is offer connectivity and speed needed for deliver fast amount of data, one as well as data to one as well as other objects simultaneously. 5G can provide a completely seamless mobile experience and a must so that cars can stay constantly connected. So this will 5G technology will also provide a boost towards automated vehicles like 5G technologies. What are the challenges? The various challenges of 5G technology is concerned. Huge investment required, 5 lakh crore investment. Expensive spectrum. Indian spectrum are very highest. Lack of uniform policy. Delay due to complex procedure or bureaucratic red-tape regime. Lack local regulatory issues. For example, many local rules are mm, prohibiting the development of infrastructure, especially technical infrastructure in states. Then 4.2 lakh crore is the mm, depth of telecommunication services. Low optical fiber connection, right, to 5G. So that need to be increased, right? And high import of equipments. Imports for telecommunication is concerned high. There is 90% of India telecom equipment is high imports. At Global Cybersecurity Index, National Telecommunication Union, it has said that um, only half of all countries' cybersecurity strategy are in process of developing one. So India is in 23rd position. So far as global security conduction security index is concerned. So there are various issues, right? We have to focus on, for example, like infrastructure, associated infrastructure, cyber security, all the things need to be focused, right? Next, possibility of increased digital divide. Initial deployment of 5G technology will correct the digital divide between urban areas and rural areas. Urban areas will get internet technology at very high speed, while rural areas will get very low speed at very low speed. Human exposure to radio frequency, human electromagnetic fields, they are been concerned outside the impact of frequencies of human life as well as animal lives, but it has not proven, right? So some are speculating that this will have harm for the human health and animal health because of the radiations. Now, what to do? Spectrum policy, India spectrum allocation, public awareness should enhance significantly. Cost of production, high end should come down, right? Spectrum policy, India spectrum policy should come down to increase the demand. Then fifth generation 5G technology program office and department of communication and oversight committee. Right? The committee need to establish regarding implementation of 5G. New civil infrastructure like highways, road, canals, utilities, India should be mandated to provide common telecom infrastructure so that ducting power junction boxes to support 5G infrastructure. So to support the 5G infrastructure, various infrastructural resources that need to be provided by the government as well. Security audits, prerequisite importing of equipments before deploying India networks need to be simplified. Favorable taxation policy, reducing taxation and regulatory fees of revenues could contribute to further the evolution of tax framework. Favorable taxation policy, reducing taxation also that will increase that will boost the economy. So far as 5G technology is concerned, fast as 5G technology, policymakers may consider encouraging 5G pilots and test beds to test 5G technologies and use to stimulate the market engagement, right? To improve the market engagement and 5G technology that need to be developed. Okay, so what is right? If market failure of occurs, then government must stimulate the investment in the fiber networks. Stimulate the investment in the fiber networks. That is Digital India mission. So the economic from products by 2023, there were staggering 9.1 billion mobile subscription. 5G will act as a catalyst for Digital India, a watershed moment in the digital transformation. Every government services, every individual work, and the business entities, their work mode will change. That will be more digital by the 5G technologies. So here the discussion ends today. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to VANIK-IAS Academy. Thank you. Sorry, PDF is not our PDF is that is given to the uh, offline students. Online PDF is not allowed. You may watch those video regularly, or you can download them, right? If you need it. And the objective question discussion will continue from tomorrow as well. Fast at 2:30, we will discuss 15 objective questions. Thank you.